Hey everyone, I'm doing a review of Far Cry 6 and going over some settings that may help you get your game set up for the first time and try to get the most out of it, especially if you're running a lower end or mid-range GPU. Hopefully this may help you get it set up, get the game looking as good as possible, and also get decent frame rates to make sure the game runs smooth as possible. So right now I'm running at 1080p on all low settings. FSR is off. So this is low settings. The game doesn't look bad. It's totally playable. We're getting high 60s, sometimes a low 70 FPS, which is great. If you're just trying to get the max frame rate out of this game, and you're at 1080p and you have lower mid-range card like I do, I'm running a Asus TUF A15 laptop with a Ryzen 7 4800H CPU and a NVIDIA 1660 Ti GPU, and this is a great setup. Like, there's really nothing I can't run, just depending on the settings. So this thing definitely does quite a bit. So if you have like a 1650 or a 1060, somewhere in that range, in that mid-range, these settings should help you do pretty good in this game and get you where you need to get to make this game playable. So this is all low settings again, and you can see that the draw distance is fairly close. Anything that's really close up to you actually looks pretty good, but you can see even just a few feet away that rocks and grass and stuff like that will start popping up, and things in the distance, especially signs and things like that. See if I can find a good. I think this sign over here, maybe this one over here. Sometimes the signs will just turn gray if you're far enough away from them. Of course, that one's gonna make me a liar. This one, oh yeah, see, that one doesn't. That one kind of disappeared over there. Good job, Guapo. So, draw distance on things like signs and stuff like that definitely makes a big difference. See, now you can see that one's just turned totally gray until you get like, I don't know, around 100 feet from it or so, and then it becomes visible. But this game is pretty dang smooth at 60 plus FPS. Let's go ahead and go to medium settings. Now, I don't think the difference between low and medium really makes enough of a difference. I mean, it makes a decent difference. It's kind of cool. You can kind of see the different shadows and things like that here. It does make a bit of a difference. It definitely uses up a lot more VRAM. Draw distance is a little bit better. Everything looks a little bit better overall, but we did lose a couple FPS. The draw distance maybe 10 or 15 feet farther out, but it's not a whole lot. But it does pretty good. This is definitely not optimal, I don't think, though. It does look pretty good. It's not a whole lot better than low, but it is definitely better in a small way. Let's go up to high, which I think high is definitely like some of the best settings on here, because it gives you the best visuals, and the difference in VRAM usage is pretty small, and it looks considerably better without too much of a an FPS loss. And now we're mid 50s, sometimes hitting 60. Sorry, buddy. So it doesn't do too bad. And it's still pretty smooth. Like, we'll still get up to 60. And the draw distance is definitely a lot better. You can see we dropped down into the 40s there, which isn't too bad. It's still pretty smooth. Like, this is totally playable. If you just, like, put it on high settings without, without doing any fine tuning, like, this is totally playable. Follow this G. So this is graphic settings on high. So let's go to ultra just to max this thing out and see how it does. Now this will obviously drop our frame rate down quite a bit, but the game does look pretty dang awesome. Right now we're still in the high 40s, maybe low 50s, but the draw distance is pretty far away, and this looks pretty good. Has good shadowing and good reflections. Bad guy right there. Now we're all high setting. Oh, let's switch over to the flamethrower. How long this Jeep will burn. But yeah, everything looks pretty dang good. And we're actually still getting pretty good frame rates. Like, we're in the 50s. That's really good. Like, you could totally run it like this. Like, if you're not super concerned about getting that 60 FPS, as you can see, it's pretty playable. Like, high 40s, low 50s, totally doable in this game. It's not a super fast-paced game, like a lot of first-person shooters are. So I feel like this is totally playable in the 40s and 50s. And it still looks pretty dang good. Now let's turn on FSR and see what kind of gains we can get. Now, I definitely wouldn't recommend running FSR any lower, honestly, especially in this game, than maybe quality, but definitely not balanced or performance, because it drags the quality down so much that I just don't feel like it's worth using the ultra settings or maybe even high settings. I'll show you guys really quick. Let's just go like max performance on ultra and just see what it looks like. Yeah, I feel like we're gaming 720p. Looking at some things, just does not look that great. And we're on ultra, and it just doesn't make sense. I feel like, and we're getting 60s in the 60s, which we could get if we just went to low settings without FSR, and it would look better, like considerably better than this does. So FSR on ultra just doesn't make sense. Definitely not worth it. Okay, so let's go to ultra quality. Now this, I feel like, doesn't take so much away that it's not worth it. Like right now we're at 60, and this doesn't look too much different than just running the standard ultra quality without FSR. This, you can tell there are some small differences between this and just running ultra. But if you're really concerned about getting 60 FPS, this is how you can get there at 1080p. Go look at our settings again. That's not the right one. So FSR Ultra. And another thing we can do is do frame lock, and we, as you've seen before, really quick there, we were getting slightly above 60, and so if you'd like, you can do a frame rate lock at 60, and that might keep us from bouncing around too much. And that should, well, we went down to, oh, look at that, down to 49 there for a second. I'm gonna back up, but hopefully doing frame lock can help us stay a little bit more stable. It's definitely capable of doing this, but I think there's more fine-tuning we can do to this to actually get more out of it. So let's take the frame rate lock off, and we'll go to quality. So this is what we can do to fine-tune this and get the most out of it. So between texture filtering the ultra and high, very small difference, not even really worth running on ultra. Shadows do make a decent difference, but I feel like on high they still look really good, so we'll leave that there. This is all kind of personal preference, but between ultra and high, I definitely like to leave this on ultra, because I think especially in this game there's just so much greenery, there's so many plants and trees and everything, that getting the most out of that visually, leaving them on ultra definitely makes a difference. Environment does make a good amount of difference. Now this is not something I think that's giant, but for me, as you can even see here, that the shadows are a little bit better, looks a little bit more realistic. But if you want to get a couple more FPS out of it, leaving it at high is definitely good. Going down to medium doesn't make too big of a change between high and medium, so it might even be worth running it at medium. Now there's a lot of water in this game. You basically surrounded it, at least on this island at the beginning of the game. So even having it on ultra, like, it looks great, but going down to medium really doesn't look too bad. And I've been playing it basically the whole time with the water on medium, and it's fine. Like, I'm happy with it. You're not spending the entire game like swimming around or anything. If you were, I might think about turning it up. Now the terrain, the difference between high and ultra, even medium, is pretty small. You do get a little bit more detail going from medium to high. From high to ultra is just about as small. The VRAM doesn't really change, so I just leave that on high. Fog, I don't really care too much about. I'll usually run this on medium just because it saves a little bit of VRAM, and honestly, I don't really see that much in this game, so it's not that important to me. So we'll give this a try with these settings here, and I feel like this will get us kind of our best bang for the buck, visuals and FPS. So here we're in the high 60s. We even see 70 for a second there. This is I'm going to double check that we don't have FSR on. Okay, so it is on ultra. This kind of gives us everything. Now we'll turn FSR off too and see where we end up. But right now we're dipping down into the mid 50s and going up into the high 60s. So if 60 FPS is important to you, I think these settings will definitely get you there. And also, like, look at it. It looks pretty good. There's really, I don't think we're really missing out on anything with these settings, with the visuals, and it does pretty good. You know, we could try to do changing, what am I doing? We could try, say, doing frame lock on at 60 and then turn FSR off and see what we end up with here. I definitely feel like without FSR, the clarity is much better. Like, everything's much more crisp, and we're at 60. We'll probably drop down into the mid to low 50s, I'm sure, without FSR. But I feel like in this game specifically, not having to be at 60, it's not that important. Like, the gameplay is still good, and this looks pretty dang good. Everything looks crisp. and clean. If you want to get above 60 all the time and have a little bit more smoothness, if the extra 5 to 10 FPS makes a difference to you, turn FSR on and it'll look basically the same. But for me, I think this is a really good kind of happy medium between all the settings. I think I need to get some more ammo. But yeah, if I was running at 1080p all the time, I think this is where I would game. At least with this hardware. I think any kind of mid-range graphics card can get you to these frame rates or near them, and this will kind of be the best of everything. Give you a good-looking game and also pretty smooth. Now, I believe we have VSync on. And we could turn it off as well, but I feel like at lower frame rates, it definitely helps the smoothness in the game. If you're close to 60, it's not too big of a deal, but I like to leave it on just because it's slightly smoother, especially if you dip down in like the 40s. But yeah, I think that's it for this video. I think these would be the best settings to run this game if you're on a mid-range, so a lower end graphics card, and definitely doing some fine-tuning beyond just picking kind of a medium or low or high. Just going through and adjusting individual things, that's where I think you get the most out of this, and getting the best visuals and making the things that are most important to you in the game visually stand out, and kind of turning down the other things that aren't too big of a deal to get the very best out of it with your current hardware. But that's it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. Definitely leave a like if you guys like it, comment if it was helpful. If you guys have some settings for this game that you guys use, definitely comment as well. Your settings might be different from what I've found is the best, and they definitely could be useful to other people that are just starting out on this game. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys.